Oh, good morning YouTube. I'm Chris the Country Cottage Gardener and I welcome you back to another video. So in today's one, as you'll see from the title, I'm going to be testing out the Swift battery chainsaw. So this is a 40 volt chainsaw, same as the other batteries which are in the range where we looked at the Hedge cutters. We've had a look at two of those. We've also looked already the 120 volt mower. Fantastic results from that. I'm still reveling in the achievements of it. It's absolutely cracking my. Anyway, today I'm back at a regular customer's. I've done filming here before from these bleached limes. These are absolutely stunning. I can only take a smidgen of the credit for these beautiful trees because they were planted well before I was even thought about. But anyway, back to the matter at hand, and that's testing out this chainsaw. Now I was here a couple of weeks ago and I actually compared a steel chainsaw and a Husqvarna chainsaw. Also had the customer's Dirty Pro chainsaw, which I used a little bit, but you know what, it was in a different league. But it's a fantastic opportunity to try this other chainsaw out. The log pile we've got here is dramatically smaller than it was, but this, as I say, is something that I can do a couple of hours and then, you know, do a bit of splitting in there, whatever. But it's a great opportunity. Some of this in there is ash, some of it is birch, there's some elm in there. And those of you that know about wood will know that elm is heavy, hard wood. So we'll see what it does to the batteries, we'll see how it copes. I'm thinking this chainsaw is going to be a real battery eater. I think it's going to be demanding quite a lot of power for it. So we'll see. But a lot of these tools have over-exceeded my expectations already. So it's going to be a really interesting one. Anyway, let's flip the camera around and we'll have a look at the tool in question. Okay, so here is the log stack in question. As I say, this is mostly elm in here, and we're going to be using the Swift 40 volt chainsaw. So these are the batteries. If you've seen the other video with the hedge cutting, you're familiar with them. We've got the gauge on the front, 25% per little diode on those. I've got two along with me. I do have the other two batteries as well, because I think we're going to do a couple of different exercises here with some of this timber, because we've got different sizes. We're going to cut some different lengths and different thicknesses and things, and we'll just put it through and see what we can achieve with it. Let's remember it's a domestic saw. The idea of this saw is going to be able to take out a, say, large rhododendron or a ilex holly in the garden or what have you. Okay, so this isn't going to be a big felling saw. We're not going to be over expecting massive things. Domestic saw, say if it's in this situation, we're doing a bit of logs. We're doing some logs, we're doing a little bit of clearing up for the garden. Maybe if you're into your DIY and you're doing some fence posts or whatever, something like that, and you need a little chainsaw. This is the idea. This is the idea of it. Something else to add to the eco range that you might be investing in. So let's have a little quick recap. We've got the safety up here. We've got our oil filling cap here. We've got a little gauge there as well for the oil. I really like that. That's a nice little feature. Got our safety handle, our holding handle. We've got the little bar on there with the cover. The chain adjuster, really like this, so you can get the tension in there. You can turn this anti-clockwise all the way around and you can remove this whole plate, but if you want to tighten that chain, you anti-clockwise it and then you twist this clockwise and you tighten the chain, turn it back, and then that puts everything nice and taut. Really nice and simple. That's such a lovely little feature, so user friendly, no tools required. We've got the power trigger and also the other safety. So we've got a couple of safety features with it. If you haven't got the battery in, it's safe. You've got to put that in, but if you've got the battery in and you're doing that, but the chain brake is on, again, it's not going to go off unnecessarily. So nice little safety features there. The chain comes with it. You just assemble it out of the box. Comes with all the typical sort of instructions, but it's all very straightforward. It's all very, as long as you get the chain around the right way, you won't really have any problems. Let's have a little look over the stack. Right, so we're going to start off with fresh batteries, and we're going to go through this typical sort of size pieces. What's this? About, it's palm of my hands. I've got big hands, so we're going to be looking about 4 inches on there, I guess. So we've got this one. Let's see how we get on with that, and then we've got lots of this smaller stuff over here. I think this is very typical of what the saw will be going for. This is the typical sort of stuff. I think this will be pushing it slightly for homeowner use, but you might have already seen my challenging mind. We've got this beautiful big bit of elm here. That's hardwood. That is hardwood. I've been cutting this with the petrol saw. The petrol saw's eating through it, but I tell you what, if anyone's ever tried to split elm, they'll know what a gnarly wood it is. I mean, normally used in furniture making and things like that. Beautiful hardwood, absolutely lovely colouring. I mean, look at this, absolutely stunning. To be honest, some of these pieces that are coming out of here were too good for the fire, really. Most of them have been taken down for splitting anyway. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to talk anymore. Let's set up the cameras and let's do some action. Okay, so what a gorgeous day. It's weird using a chainsaw and half being able to hear the birds cheeping. Anyway, as round one, I have used that battery down to the red. I mean, it is exhausted. I couldn't get anything more out of it. Let's swing the camera around. I lost count of the cuts, to be honest. Let's swing it around. You can have a little look at the stack. Right, okay. I turned the camera off a little way through because it overheated. Where it's so warm, it's lovely. But look at this little stack of wood that we've got here. So let's have a quick count through. Right, you don't need to hear me count. I've just whizzed through 60 logs I can count. So That's at least 60 cuts. At least 60 cuts on there. All varying sizes, all varying density. So when we're talking about density, we're talking about how tight the grain is. This isn't any of that slow grown rubbish that if you go by a fence, the fence posts are really big open. This comes from a good source. It's dried, it's been stacked and dried, and you can see the cracking in there. Nice bit of elm, that's really hardwood. But I really pushed the saw. It's going for bigger stuff than I was going for on this first one, on this first test. And the cut is nice and clean. I mean, this one's a little bit on its way out here, but oh, mind you, saying that, I can't scratch it. So there we are, round one. Let's just take a look at that battery so you can see that it's gold. Okay, it's jumped. Oh, okay, it is fading out to red just as I do it. So yeah, she's flat as Shrove Tuesday. So round one, ding ding, out. Let's have round two. Let's smash a brand new battery in there and see how much I can get out of cutting these big logs, these big heifers over here. I think, I mean, I'm wrong on this. I'm big enough and ugly enough to know when I'm wrong, and I've been wrong so far on these batteries. That's exceeded what I thought it would do. I think it's clear to see already from that first one battery test when you're cutting. Let's be honest, half of a good running saw is making sure you've got oil in it and making sure you've got a super sharp chain. You can have the best saw in the world, the most powerful engine, but if your chain is dull or blunt, you've got no chance. There's no point. You're better off getting on your hands and knees and chewing through that log. So let's stick in a new battery. Let's set up the tripod again, let the camera cool down a little bit, smash our way through some of those logs, see what damage the battery does with long hard cuts. Okay, that battery has been smashed down to the red. I've given it all that it's got. I've stacked the logs and the logs fell over. Typical stuff. Right, I don't know if you kept count when I was piling them up there, but let's have a little swing around and you can have a look at the pile that I managed to do with one battery, one full battery, putting it through heavy, well dense hardwood elm. We could count the rings on some of them. They say if you count the rings on them, you can see how many years old the timber was. Let's have a little look. Right, so the pile isn't as volume impressive there, but what I find impressive is that it went through it completely. This was the end of the first log, so if you think that I haven't cut that one, there we go. So, I'm going to count these off camera because there is loads of rings in there. but we've got 2 escapees. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Hang on. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 big logs. Now if they all split down into let's say 3s, my maths ain't great, but I wouldn't have thought you got far off that pile to what you've got that pile if you weren't to split them. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts? Mine, a battery domestic saw with a good sharp chain, brand new chain. Went through all that with 1 charge. That's more than enough for a domestic job of taking it. I think you could easily, there's a nice little beech tree over there, I think you could easily fell that tree and sned it up with 1 charge of that battery. So let me know if you disagree with me. I love constructive criticism, I have no issue with it at all. But I think, because most of these branches are tiny, we know it would go through this. I have no qualms about it. I know it would go through that. So if we think we've got 1 felling cut, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 big cuts, roughly. Well, it gets a lot smaller. So you've probably only got about 4, 5. Let's say 5 maximum generous cuts. Generous. I think that's realistic for the homeowner. Absolutely no way I was prepared to come here today and think that I could produce those 2 piles of logs from 1 cut. I think I even said at the beginning of the video I was expecting to do what, 2 lengths I think it was of the smaller stuff with 1 charge. Well, that surpassed itself. And to do, I think, what was it, 3.5 of the big stuff. Well, but anyway, it doesn't come without a little bit of wear onto the saw. I've pushed it hard for this test to see if it goes through it. I wouldn't want to do that every day with this saw, as I wouldn't want to do it every day with a small domestic petrol saw, because that's not what they're made to do. But I wanted to test it and I wanted to push it to show you what was capable of. The saw itself, let me have a little flip round and I'll show you something that is something I pointed out in the first video. These teeth on here are already starting to wear. They're already starting to get little burrs on them where I've been into the actual timber itself. This does flap down, and although when I was doing the first little video, this popped off, I could see me getting a hindrance with that. But that's a very small minor thing. That's a very tiny minor thing. It's so light, such a light little saw. It was almost a pleasure to use. You know, well, it was a pleasure to use. You know, had no issues with it at all. So I tell you what, I'm going to end the video there. There is nothing much more to say about this. It has shown you what it can do. It's shown you what size timber it can go through. It's had a full thorough test with this. I tell you one thing that I'm certainly noticing with all this battery gear, and you really do notice a difference from petrol. Several things on this job that I noticed. One, the horses in this field weren't bothered. They were, you know, they kept their distance, but they were normally, well, last time, they were off into the other paddock. They were gone. They didn't want to be around with the petrol saw. Two, you don't realise how often you leave the saw running until you use battery power. The amount of time that you go and put that saw down on the floor with it keep on running, you keep on fuming, you keep on wasting that fuel, that is start stop, boof. That's something I'm noticing all the time with these battery tools. You take your finger off the throttle and you're saving yourself money instantly. No wasted fuel, a lot more economical. The light as well, but something I can't get around, this is something I'm really struggling with, is they do feel like toys. and I think that's a dangerous thing, especially with a saw. I can't stress enough to homeowners, PPE. Sure, you probably don't need ear defenders with this, but I'd certainly say wear your face mask, wear leg protection, wear chainsaw boots. This is what you should all be doing. I can't stress that enough. But that would be my concern with a homeowner picking up that saw and them doing the same sort of thing, and they're thinking, oh, it's only a plastic saw, it's not going to be that much performance. But I tell you what, I'm taken back by that again. This range has not failed to impress me every time with this, or maybe it's my expectations. Maybe I've just got lower expectations on the gear, I don't know. But anyway, if you haven't already, smash that like button, hit the subscribe, click the little bell. As I said before, clicking that bell, you won't just see videos on tool reviews and everything like this. You'll get to see all of the maintenance programs that I'm putting out, and all of the landscape stuff as well. All the stuff from the big jobs all the way through to the fencing, patios, and all that sort of lovely stuff. Thank you for your support. Thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll catch up with another one soon. Thank you very much. Hey, come on, get out of it. There's some rustling. Just as I was filming, the customer's dog's got in the van and had my lunch. Lucky I'm on a half day.